We are back, Season 4 of the Craft Beer Connoisseurs podcast. I'm Chris, and along with me are two other hosts and a producer. For those of you who are new to the podcast, we like to showcase breweries, their beers, and conclude every episode with a thematic-ish conversation. If you're a casual listener or a seasoned vet, you know what to expect. Producers continue to change throughout episodes, but the same old connoisseurs will continue to provide top-tier content every single episode. Please feel free to listen to all of our previous episodes and producer specials to get an insight into all the breweries and beers that we've mostly enjoyed. And whether you're new or returning, we're pleased to be your favorite craft beer podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons, send a friend request on Untapped, or subscribe on YouTube at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. Also drop a comment, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now for today's episode. Welcome to the Craft Beer Connoisseurs. I'm Chris.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Brett. Along with us today is producer Henrick.
Hello, Henrick.
Hey, welcome.
And just so you know, Chris, 2 in a row.
Two in a row.
Two in a row.
Can he make it 3?
We'll find out.
We will find out. But in today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Four Fathers Brewing out of Cambridge, Ontario.
Yes, and we're going to have 2 of their beers today. The first is the Starter, which is a Session IPA. And the second is one of their newest releases, Von Doom, which is a chocolate caramel wafer stout.
That sounds tasty.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And then to finish off the episode, we're going to discuss some fast-growing sports. Now, Four Fathers is located at 125 Guelph Avenue in Cambridge, within the village of Hespeler in Cambridge.
Okay. Yeah.
Funny thing, actually, I've always, for whatever reason, thought that Four Fathers was located in Guelph. And I guess, I don't know, maybe one time I saw their address and
You just
it was like stuck in my head that they were in Guelph.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
so, I don't know.
Nope. Can confirm.
Yeah.
Cambridge. Actually, what? Hespeler. You know,
Yes.
the whole like, tri-city with Preston and Galton, Hespeler. I don't know if you're a big Cambridge connoisseur.
Not a big
Sounds like you
KW Cambridge connoisseur.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us some more about them besides Guelph.
Okay, so the building that they're in is an old washer and dryer factory, which is now filled with old cars and 77,000 square feet of musty auto industry mementos.
I believe it's not now filled with it. It's now filled with the brewery stuff. This is what was before.
Yes. That's true.
Just letting you know.
So washer and dryer factory, then cars, then brewery.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good
Yeah.
timeline. I wish we had an infographic we could just slam
Right.
on audio that just explains that.
And I saw a bar graphic of everything of the years.
We'll put that on Instagram, maybe.
I don't think we
No, I don't think so.
Do you think Henrik wants to spend time putting that together?
What else is he doing?
Yeah. That's
a
what
good
I'd like to
question.
know. That's what I'd like to know.
Well, actually, he might be putting in some new drywall. We don't know.
Oh, that's true. That is true. All right.
All right, so after all that, to get to, the end of the timeline where we are now, the ideas, the concept, all the planning, test batches, of course, took a few years to brew, and then it officially opened in 2016 in Rockwood.
Which is near Guelph.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
There you go.
Yes.
So
I've been to Rockwood before.
I have not.
Played some ball there.
A little baseball.
Yeah. That's probably the only reason to go there.
But I guess they technically didn't open because that facility never actually opened their doors to the public, though it is still under the Four Fathers umbrella. Then they officially made the move to their current location in 2018 with their new current facility and tap room where people are able to take in a pint and a meal.
In Cambridge.
In Cambridge.
Cambridge, not Guelph.
On Guelph Avenue.
Yes.
Guelph Avenue. Fair enough. So, probably want a little bit of background on this. It was founded by Four Fathers.
You don't say.
I do. I actually said it.
You did say
I
it.
did say it, yeah.
The words left your mouth.
We've got, let's see here. We got Mike, we got John, we got Martin, and we got James.
Okay.
Now, all 4 of them
Are fathers.
They are fathers. The 4 of them in Cambridge. So the 4 of them actually have very diverse backgrounds of where they came from, what they do for professions. And I'm not going to list out all the professions, but I can tell you that it runs from telecommunications to education and some game stuff in between. So some pretty high up people doing something that I think that they enjoy. Now we're 3 plus a producer of low level people doing what we enjoy.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was waiting for an outstanding. Oh yeah, for sure.
Not Four Fathers though.
No, we're not.
Two of them.
Two fathers.
Two of us, I should say. Not two of them, two of us.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's 4 of them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of unique, just kind of their background and the skills that they bring to the table, which is very nice. And I think it's kind of cool because it is in Cambridge, and I think Cambridge is like a good community for what they're putting forward and the beers that they have. So kind of nice to see as well. So they are located in most of the LCBOs and restaurants there. They do have a head brewer, which is not one of those 4 fathers.
No.
Actually, don't even know if he's a father at all. Curtis Jeffrey, yeah, great guy.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
You know
He
him?
is. I don't, but I mean, he's a head brewer, and he's at a brewery that we enjoy. So,
Yep.
yeah, Curtis has actually been with them since 2018, and before that, he was with Cameron's. Just a fun fact for all you fellows at home listening.
Correct. So the beers that are created are focused on a rich and complex character, while also allowing for creativity and respect for the story tradition that is brewing beer.
Good job. You almost made it through that sentence.
Yeah,
okay?
almost made it.
There's 2
true.
speed bumps along
It's almost
the way.
like I'm a perfectionist and about 80% right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
so when you pull up, obviously there's ample parking available.
Is that obvious?
Very obvious, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you pull in, there's a lot of parking available.
Is it a big building?
It's a very big building.
Very big.
Some would say 77,000 square feet.
Yeah, washers and dryers.
Hey, that I was told that was before.
Yeah,
so maybe,
it's true.
Maybe they took up less space.
Maybe it's 76,699. I don't know. Anyway, so you walk in. There's the bottle shop with all the take homes, and brewery clothing, other accessories
Yeah.
to go through into the tap room. Once in the tap room, there's a view of the brew house to your left, and then you can make your way to either the picnic table. Yeah, English.
Come on, you got
style
this.
seating or stool style if you prefer. It's a very spacious tap room.
I almost feel like you need a beer soon, eh?
Oh,
Wait, your whistle?
could I? I am actually quite thirsty. I even take water right now, for God's sakes.
Yeah, well, we don't have that right here.
Yeah, we don't have
You got-
no
you got-
running water here, but we got beers.
There's
Turn
a
on
creek-
those taps and they're dry.
There's a creek out back that's running pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
yep.
moving fast today. I was watching the water run. All right, who's been there before? So when you said obviously, it's not obvious to myself or Chris
No.
because we have not been there.
I have not. And I've been to many breweries where there's not ample parking.
True.
So
This is
it's,
also very true.
Guelph.
I don't think I've been to a brewery in Guelph before,
No?
actually.
What about Cambridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right.
Have I? Yes.
So
yes, I have.
we haven't been. Brett?
Yeah, I, myself, and the producer have been, yes. I've been there multiple times, including maybe to get the beers for today's episode, perhaps.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So on Untapped, they have an average rating of 3.62 out of 5 with over 45,000 check-ins. Myself, I have 17 of those, with my highest rating being the Cottage Wheat out of 4.5. And I had that one back in 2020.
Well, producer Henrick is just behind you. He's had 15 beers from Four Fathers, so 2 behind you. And he's had 5 different beers that were rated a 4, which are his highest. So he had Creamish, Beluga Base Camp, Sock Skin, Ivy 16, and All Together. Those were all 4s.
Well done.
Yeah.
I've had 4 check-ins with the highest rated a 4 as well. And so we've had the Creamish and Extra Poppable Penguin Party Balloons.
What a great name for a beer.
Boopity boop. So those are the 2 that I
Yeah.
have rated at 4. So, I mean, that's 50% of my beers that I've had have clocked higher than my average rating.
There you go. I've had 1, and I've had the starter,
Okay,
the beer that we're going to start with.
What'd you rate that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you because
goody.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you when I give my rating when we have it to see if there's a difference.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Right.
So stay tuned.
Going to make people listen.
Brett, do you want to
Yes.
say the next little kind of point here?
Yes.
I don't want to just.
I know. You're not a big
it's
fan of them, right?
yeah.
So that's why. So Four Fathers is also known as the Kitchener Rangers headquarters, as they have all the games live on at the brewery, and a selection of Four Fathers beers at every home game at the Odd, including the Rangers Light Lager.
Well, good for them.
Yes.
La-dee-da.
Does your team have a beer for them?
No, but we should make one for them.
You should.
Oh, we should.
We should get on
We're not
it.
going to state what team Tyler's a big fan of.
Yeah.
It's not the Kitchener Rangers.
We should get on that.
Also not the London Knights. So now you're down to
And
18.
also not the fall. All right. When it comes to delivery, they do offer free shipping with orders over $35 within the Tri-City area. And Guelph.
Oh, and Guelph. Okay.
Yes. Costs a little outside of there.
It's because I just got to literally go down the same road.
Right.
Along with specific delivery days in neighboring small towns. So they do have that kind of figured out. They do a $20 flat rate shipping for the rest of Ontario.
Interesting.
Inclusive of ourselves. But that's why we got Brett to be the mule. And
I just happened to be in Cambridge that day.
yeah.
Well, that's convenient, isn't it?
It was.
Isn't it, though?
It wouldn't have worked out if I was in Guelph, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, you probably would have gone to Cambridge to get
Yeah, you still could have came back.
I mean,
yeah.
maybe. We'll see. There's multiple ways to get to Guelph.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you are in Cambridge and you want to stop by at Four Fathers, their hours are 12 to 9 on Sunday and Monday. Then Tuesday to Thursday, they're open from 12 to 10. And Friday and Saturday, they're open from, I love this one, 12 to late.
Who knows what it could be?
See what kind of shenanigans happen.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Guess what happens if the Rangers win? You know,
That
maybe
must suck for the staff. They're like, I'm working till late.
Yeah.
I don't know when, just late.
Hey, honey, when are you going to be home? Late. Good to know. All right, so we're going to link all their information on our social media.
Yeah, so let's get started with beer number 1. All right, a big thank you to Emily from Four Fathers for curating the beers that we're going to have today on our episode. As well, a big thanks to our buddy here, Brett, for picking up the beers because,
That's me. I did that.
You were just in Cambridge at the same time, so you were like, "What else am I going to do?"
Happened to work out.
Pick up these beers. So, but mostly thanks to Four Fathers for providing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. 98% thanks.
Yeah,
2% thanks for picking me up.
99 to Emily and
Yeah.
Four Fathers. I'll give 1% to whoever pumped Brett's gas to get there. Now he's going to say, it was me.
What's me?
Yes. There you go.
Well, as we've mentioned, the first beer we're going to have on today's episode is The Starter, which is a Session IPA. It comes in at 4.8% ABV with 37 IBUs.
It's a good beer to start with.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah. Good. It's almost like this.
It would be weird if this was our second beer.
Yeah. That'd be called the reliever.
Well,
Anyway, so let's face it. Nobody wants to ride the pines, right? Everybody wants to be a starter.
Yes.
So the Session IPA is just the kind of beer a coach could rely on day in and day out to get the job done. With a crisp and citrusy profile, this is a Galaxy hop-driven IPA that screams high draft pick, like a beer stud like me, right? While the low ABV gives it the stamina to go the whole session no matter how formidable the competition.
just like me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got him.
So stay in the game, which is what the other guys sit painting on the bench.
Which is me.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, I've never actually seen anybody paint on the bench. So if you're painting on the bench, good for you.
Oh, what else are you going to do?
Drink?
That's so weird because you spent the most time on the bench out of all of us. So I figured you'd be seeing the guys
me?
paint. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Weird, eh?
Maybe in hockey.
Here we go. All right. So just a reminder for everybody to follow us on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons and on Untapped at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. So for the starter, there have been 5,568 ratings at the time of this recording, with an average of 3.57, so roughly around some of our averages out of the 5. Now, with that being said, you want to know what Brett's favorite is, the 5 out of 5s. There's been 59 of them.
Wow.
59 of them. One could be Chris's. We don't know.
You will find out.
We do
We'll
not
find
know.
out.
73 of our friends. 73 of our friends. We've
Big
got
number.
friends.
Big number.
Have checked in with an average of 3.53 out of 5. Just reading what's written there. There's two ins.
So,
There is 2 ins.
so we have at least 73 friends.
We do.
At the very least, yes.
That's nice to know. You know, I like to hear that. All right, let's grab that glass and grab that can. And get my finger underneath it. Let's open her up. Oh. I heard a little.
I heard a fizz.
I heard a fizz, and I thought,
No, it was my finger trying to get underneath the can.
Okay, because I was thinking to myself, We haven't had a whole lot of spillage since one of those episodes that Brett and I did, like the very first one here.
Yeah. Well, just to let everyone know, we are drinking this out of an IPA glass today, so make sure to use your proper glassware.
Very good. Anybody smell anything up front while you pour it in?
Smells like peachy almost.
Yes, a little peach, a little earthy as well.
Yeah.
But for the most part, not that bad. It's not deterring me from drinking it, that's for sure.
Okay.
Which is good news, because I am quite thirsty.
Yes, you did mention.
So we've heard. We can move down here. All right. Yeah. So on the nose, I kind of see where both you guys are coming from. There's some nice head on this too, eh? Just
There is, yeah.
What about colors? You guys getting any colors out of her?
Your typical Session IPA color, that light, little golden hue, as you will.
Yeah, little hazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty hazy. I can't really see through it at all. It's nice. Okay, Brett.
Head's still hanging around for a
Is
bit.
that me?
Yeah, go ahead. You can start
okay.
drinking. I think this is going to give some good lacing all the way down too. Just
I
the
would
way that
agree with
this
that,
is kind of sticking around. So, okay, Brett, you talk about for a second. We'll get into this.
Yes. You can definitely tell it's light, but it has flavors. As I kind of said, it does have that earthiness to it a little bit. Not exactly getting that peach that was kind of mentioned, Chris, in it, which is, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's still a formidable beer. No complaints so far.
Yeah, I'm getting some juiciness from it for sure.
Definitely.
I'm definitely getting a lot of the juice. It's refreshing. Like I find it very refreshing on the palate right now, which is, again, this could be speaking to what Brett was saying about how he needed water earlier on. Maybe I was just yearning for a drink, but I think it's good. It's got some mouth coating to it.
Yeah, and not that bitter. I think we had said 57 IBUs on this one.
37, I believe.
37. And yeah, it's a nice amount of bitterness, but nothing overpowering. Sometimes with the sessions, that low ABV kind of brings in like a higher bitterness.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting that with this beer.
I quite think, not to use the baseball puns again here, but I could start with this beer after a competitive ball game in hot summer heat.
Yeah, if you definitely want something that's not like a light lager or something, I think that this is a good alternative to have a beer with some different flavor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's light enough. It is refreshing. I feel like, it's good. I am interested to see what kind of comes out of it as we go along. You can tell that it's very Galaxy hop forward though.
Yes,
right.
That is most definite.
But it's tasty, and it after every sip it brings you back for more. Like it keeps you wanting to take another sip. So that's
there's no complaints there.
Yeah, definitely a quality of a good beer.
I think that speaks to kind of the refreshingness that I was kind of talking about too.
Yeah,
is that it's refreshing, and that again, you wanna kind of continue to go back to it.
Be refreshed again.
Yeah, it doesn't finish strong either. So even if I'm just sitting here, I find that I still have that flavor in my mouth. Like it's long lasting. And some beers can have a terrible aftertaste, or that bitterness might come through on the back end. It might just sit. This one, it just kind of lingers, but it's good.
Yeah.
I also think this is a good one to start off in a flight as well. Ease yourself into your first flight of the day, and a nice hoppy beer to give it its start before you get into some of the darker stuff, like what we'll be doing in a little bit here.
Yeah, or you've got some other kind of IPA or something like
absolutely.
that.
So let's talk about the top 5 flavor profiles. Number 1 is hoppy. What are we feeling here?
Yeah, it is hoppy to me, but that hoppiness speaks to the flavor in a good way. I think that this is very flavor driven from the hops.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Number 2 is light.
Yeah, I mean it's light for an IPA, right? I think it's
session, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's bang on for a session IPA. So I would say again, not really light on flavor necessarily, but in terms of ABV and kind of like density, it's light.
But I also think that it's juicy, but it's not a juice bomb. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So like it drinks well because it is still somewhat, again, lighter on the ABV. The flavor's there, but it's a lighter. It doesn't sit heavy.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Now I'm going to couple. This is going to be weird, but I'm going to couple 3 and 5 together because they're pretty much the same thing. So number 3 is citrusy, and number 5 is citrus.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the citrus within this?
I think there definitely is citrus that comes through on it.
Almost like a little, I'm getting more like tangerine.
Yeah?
I get down. Not the rind per se.
Yeah, I'm not picking that up myself.
What are you picking up?
Well, everything I've talked about already.
In terms of like the citrus fruit.
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't want to say like nectarine part of it, but I'm getting, if anything, it's going to be more stone fruit with grapefruit kind of finish on it.
Yeah, I was thinking grapefruit personally. And
that's again, like that's the end of it. So it's light, it's refreshing, and then there is that kind of grapefruitiness to it. Maybe you know what? I maybe switch that up and just go with a pomelo. Again, we've been down this road before, but it's got maybe more of a pomelo kind of taste.
Okay. And number 4 is malty.
Yeah, I don't get maltiness at all from this beer.
No.
So that's with thousands of check-ins. That's actually kind of surprising that this is there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Producer Henrick coming in with mouth feel or mouth coating, which I do agree with as well.
Yeah.
Refreshing, and everybody's lovely term of crushable.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely a crushable beer. But there's also, we said about 5,000 or over 5,000 check-ins. We should probably have a couple of those, just see what other people are thinking. And Tyler, it's your turn.
Yeah, I'll take the first one here. So the first one is Don N, and their handle is DK Noot, Noot, or it could be D Knut. Really, however you want to take it.
Yep.
Don, that's up to you, not up to us.
I mean, I think you did a good job with it.
Thank you so much. So they stated tropical citrus and pineapple nose and flavor. Nice malt body for a lower ABV Session IPA. Relatively smooth mouthfeel, solid. And they gave it a 4.25 out of 5. There's a couple things I want to talk about. Now, normally we would not, go through necessarily, but I kind of disagree with some of this.
Yeah, I was just, when you read it out, I took a sniff of the beer that I have left, and I really didn't get any pineapple on the nose. That was a little surprising.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that there's no pineapple in this. I think we can do that.
Yeah, and the nice malt body kind of throws me off, but I think that's why people are going with the maltiness. And I don't know. I mean, that's totally cool. The relatively smooth mouthfeel, I get smooth mouthfeel for sure, so I do get that. Okay. Chris, you got the second one there, bud.
I do, and it's from Eric H. Eric Hines is the handle. Eric said, citrusy and hoppy, yet barely bitter. Lots of malt and bread tones. And Eric gave it a 4 out of 5. So, again, agree with the first part of that, but we're seeing, again, people talking about maltiness, and Eric's bringing in that bread, which I really don't get at all.
Almost like the people are contradicting themselves when it comes to their reviews in terms of,
yeah, a little bit.
And also, there's this, and it's like, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good analysis. Yeah, I've never really felt there to be a need for a piece of toast dipped into orange juice or something. You know what I mean? It's just a weird combo.
It's just wrong.
It just ain't
But if
right.
anybody's going to try it, I want you to be the first person to do so.
It's different. It's different. It gives extra pulp and new meaning. I don't know. Well, thanks, Don, and thanks, Eric, for both of your reviews. I'm going to get us started here.
Please.
Started.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the 3.75. 3.75.
Okay.
Chris?
So, this is the portion that we were teasing, right? I have had this beer before, and I actually had it on draft before, and of course we're having it in the can today. I gave it a 3.5 when I had it before, but I will say it was at a restaurant that is not in the area of Cambridge, so you don't know, how long that keg's been around and that sort of thing.
Cleanliness of the lines. We've talked about this when we took our course, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 3.5, but I'm actually enjoying this more today, so I'm going to bump it up to a 3.75 as well. Okay.
Very good.
For myself, I've had it obviously before, and I give it a 3.25. I think I've had it both in a can and on draft. But I haven't had this for a while. I want to up it to 3.5. I think it's fresh, it's juicy, it's exactly what it needs to be to get started on a beer day. And then Producer Henrick coming in, he's had it in a can and a taster as well, and he's also going to give it a 3.5.
All right. So we add up those four, and that's going to give us a 3.625. We're going to round that up to 3.75. Nice to see. 2 ratings kind of go up a little bit. Your palates might have changed since the first time too, right? So,
yeah, or maybe they're just brewing it a little better.
Maybe they are.
You don't know.
Could be.
All right, well, now that we've gotten started, let's move on to beer number 2.
All right, we're back. We're off the pine, if you will.
Yeah.
We're in relief now.
Because sometimes pines and IPAs go together, but not the last one. The second beer is Von Doom, which is a chocolate caramel wafer imperial stout. Oh my goodness, boys, we're going thick and we're going heavy here. Bring the heavy hitters.
It sounds good, I'll tell you that.
Bring the heavy hitters. This, 10% ABV, and the IBUs are unlisted, maybe for good reason.
Maybe
not.
Maybe
out of sheer laziness, tough to say.
You never know.
Christopher, what do we got next?
Well, this festive imperial stout is loaded with mountains of cacao nibs, vanilla, and caramel to give you a heavy-hitting, super flavorful stout. It comes with notes of chocolate, vanilla, caramel wafers, and demerara sugar.
Oh, please say that again for me.
Demerara? Never seen that one before.
Nailed it.
Von Doom is sure to keep you warm through the winter season. And you know what they say, a doom a day keeps the doctor away.
Is it true that a 10% stout keeps the doctor away if you have one of those a day?
I would say probably you'd be visiting the doctor in a couple days.
I don't know. Can't get a, you can't drive there, so you'd have to get a taxi.
Yeah, right?
So maybe it would keep it away by default.
Maybe. Right. On Untapped, Von Doom has 17 check-ins at the time of recording with an average rating of 4.10 out of 5.
Pretty good.
Me likey.
I'm actually excited for this beer.
Really?
I'm very.
What do you mean? Excited.
I'm actually
excited for every beer, but for the most part. But this one, very excited for. And this one also has 5 out of 5.
You'd like to think it would.
Yes. We don't have, nobody's checked us in. Nobody's had this before, so it's not any of us. So good for that person who rated a 5 out of 5. Let's see. Maybe we can get there. We'll see.
All right. Well, before we get this party rolling, let's grab that can.
Let's do it.
Now, my can's got a little dirt on it. Brett, you want to explain that?
Well, when you play baseball a lot, you get some red clay that gets in the back of the car. And then when you don't clean out the back of the car, it transfers to the can.
So one thing that I think is worth noting on this is
I need to clean out my car.
Well, it's true, but always make sure that before you pour and open up your can, to clean out the can so that way you're not pouring in any adjuncts that aren't supposed to be there. All right.
You don't want some clay in there.
No, you do not.
Okay. Let's grab the can. Let's grab that glass and let's open her up. All right.
That sounds lovely. I like
It does
that.
sound lovely.
And the pour. Chris, go ahead and let us know.
The pour into the stout glass today, so make sure to use your proper glassware.
Now, this is pouring like we're doing some dirty old motor oil on this.
Now
Those
these
are 2 good pours for 2024, though.
they were, and these stout glasses are quite large, so they hold a good amount of head along with the actual beer as well.
And this one does have a good amount of head.
It's true.
I'm not going to measure it at all because obviously, horizontals, vertical is not good for me. Tyler, you want to take a shot at how much head is in this beer?
Yeah, the way that I poured with a little bit of vigor, and I've got about 2.5 fingers of head, which is nice. I'm glad that you mentioned about this glass because it is very nice glassware.
Thank you.
It's going to really facilitate warming the beer up as we go.
Agreed.
Which is nice. And we did have this out a little bit earlier on.
We did.
Producer Henrick, smart guy.
Yeah, I had that out earlier, which is good. So we don't want to fall into that. Now, I'm going to stop talking a little bit. You guys talk about what you smell on this because I'm getting a lot, and I like it.
Yeah, so I'm getting this as the dominant thing coming through, and Henrik is as well. He put down chocolate.
Most definitely.
That is by far the number one scent that is coming through for me.
I definitely agree with that for sure. Almost smelling a little bit of booziness off of it.
Really?
Just in the back end.
Okay.
But
A little
let me take a little sniff here again.
a little bit of wafer. A little bit of wafer.
Yeah, what I'm getting is citrus and bread. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Orange juice soaked bread.
Yeah, orange juice soaked bread niblets.
Just the crust.
Just the crust. It doesn't count that way. No, I'm getting chocolate heavy, but I definitely am getting the wafer. I'm definitely getting the wafer.
Yeah.
It's coming through, but yeah, I'd say 2/3 chocolate, 1/3 wafer. That's where I'm at, kind of proportionally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can go with that for
Oh
sure.
my god, thanks guys.
I was going to say, I'm going to
Talk about the can a little bit.
talk about the can when you guys had your first
Yeah,
sips.
this is the first one of 2024.
Correct.
Of Brett trying to
Of can talk.
figure his way through a can.
So
Can
the-
corner with Brett. Well, he said during our first sip. So,
Yeah, so we'll sip
Henrick,
away.
Tyler, let's take some sips.
Cheers, fellas.
So I'm pretty sure this is a selfie of producer Henrick in a green hoodie and a goalie mask. And not somebody you'd probably want to meet in a dark alley on a Saturday night, or any night for that matter. Definitely doom is going to come if you meet this guy. And it says, yeah, it's kind of like a superhero kind of vibe to the can. And it says, the only thing that can save us from the clutches of Von Doom is the mighty power of the Fantastic Four.
Now, would you say superhero or supervillain?
I don't know. I don't know much about the Fantastic Four except for Chris Evans was in it. That's about the
I
only
think
thing.
the Fantastic Four might be the fathers in this reference, Brett.
Also could be.
Oh my! They gave you that.
Yeah.
Yep.
They also gave you the Fantastic Four that you can have on VHS and DVD.
There you go. Yeah,
VHS.
definitely a supervillain. I think.
Well, I'll kind of go first on the taste, and Brett, you get in there. Thank you for that review of the can.
Horrible review.
You're spot on like usual.
2024. I think the title of this is going to be something about New Year, same connoisseurs, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's what we'll call this.
Yeah, because we haven't changed a bit. I'm actually getting a lot of bitterness on this, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Maybe they use the dark chocolate. I'm not sure, but definitely
or like bittering chocolate. Yeah.
bittering chocolate. Yeah. But the chocolate is coming through along with that bitterness. But unfortunately, I'm not getting the wafer in the taste like
Really?
I was in the scent. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely chocolate, that's for sure. I'm getting a little bit of wafer, but I did expect a little bit more of the wafer.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of the caramel, but mostly getting that dark maltiness. Yeah, it's definitely warming though. I do like it. Just again, slow sipper for me.
Yeah. Slow sip. Take a big gulp of it, or like a big mouthful.
Big gulp, eh?
Yeah, and let it sit for a second before you finish it through. I do pick up more of that wafer as we go through. Now that could just be me, but I do see what you're saying about the bitterness and the chocolate. I'm getting more of a wafery as we go. I think as this kind of warms up a bit, it might kind of come through a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe as it warms up. Yeah, it's just not. It's not there
overpowering
for me right now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I am picking up some of it, but yeah, okay. Chris, why don't you do the top 5 flavor profiles this time?
Yeah, sure. So the first one is full.
Full bodied, full flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I think it's gonna sit there in your stomach too. It's gonna make you full to the point where maybe you don't have a third one, right? For at least a little bit.
That's probably what they meant by it.
Yeah.
Good.
Probably.
Yeah, you not going to be hungry after this.
Spot on.
No.
Spot on. Just like your can, kind of reading.
This guy's good. This guy.
That's why we keep him
good.
around.
He's good.
Yep. I don't know if you know this, Chris, but I've been on every episode. Have you?
Oh.
No, I have not. So the second one is chocolate. So
That's definitely there.
That would be my number one personally.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Number 3 is sweet, which I'm actually not really getting a ton of sweetness, to be honest.
No, I'm not getting a whole lot of it's a little bit there, but yeah, it's not exactly compared to the sweetness that I was expecting before it was poured.
Yeah, I'd probably get rid of this, and I'll say this because I know it's coming, but bitter. I'd put bitter probably in this spot.
Yes, I would as well.
Yep.
Number 4 is caramel, which again I am not getting any caramel.
No, I'm not getting
into
much
this.
of that either.
No, and this is where I'd throw in maybe the wafer side of things because I am getting it. So that's where I would put it personally.
And then the last one is boozy, which it's actually not drinking too boozy.
No,
to
it's
me.
not. It's
at
not.
all.
Not
I can
for
see why
10%.
people are putting it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you.
I think it's one of those things where people are like, oh, this is a 10% stout. Like, I'm just going to put boozy because of that.
Anything I think with imperial doesn't have to be a stout, right? Like that's the intent of the imperial side of things, right?
And I think as this more gets more check-ins, boozy might wean itself off that little bit list, and something else might pop in there. Maybe like what producer Henrick is suggesting in terms of warming, roasty. I think that's maybe where a little bit is happening. Is that roast? It's a little bit roasty.
I'm not getting roasty out of this.
No?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of powered because of the dark chocolate-ish. Like I think it's the chocolate and bitterness, but I'm not getting any kind of dark roast aspect or a roast aspect.
I'm thinking it might be more like, as you said, like they used a lot of darker chocolate versus regular chocolate. Yeah.
Which might overpower some of
That's
those
what I'm thinking.
those malts, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
But Henrik does point out that wafer, not a flavor profile that's available on Untapped, Tyler. So you won't be able to put that there.
I'll figure something out.
You could go graham cracker, maybe, he's saying.
I don't know. Graham cracker's got kind of a bit of a
Yeah, it's a
taste to it.
unique flavor. Yeah.
We'll see what there is. And if not, I'll recommend it to Untapped.
You know, we should be keeping a list of flavor profiles that aren't flavor profiles that they should add. And
then we could just send them the Excel spreadsheet, and they would for sure add it.
They have to.
I mean, why not?
It
Right?
would take them all of 3 minutes.
It's true.
We do enough advertising for them for free.
I mean, our podcast has lasted a lot longer than theirs.
That's true.
And I'm just saying, they have a bit more resources than what we have.
Well bet.
For
And-
now. Boom.
But we have lasted a lot longer than the Untapped podcast.
Yeah.
But here comes some more free advertising. Brett, why don't you get us kicked off with some Untapped users?
Yes, the first one comes from Craig I, and his handle, and I'm going to probably mispronounce this completely, is C. Mizjuk. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. _4815. You want to try?
Couple Zeds in there.
Yeah, there's a couple Zeds in there. Really throw me off. Anyway, they reviewed it and said it's a must-try, a full-bodied smooth for an imperial stout, and oh so flavorful. Loved it. And they rated it a 4.5 out of 5.
Great job.
Nice. So the next one comes from Spencer L. Cycling Papa is Spencer's handle. And Spencer said, fantastic flavors, Four Fathers, fabulous festive fullness. So all F's there with his
little tongue
alliteration.
twister.
And Spencer gave it a 4.25 out of 5.
All right, so I guess I'll start the reviews. I'm kind of toying with what I should give it because I feel like I want to give it a higher rating, but I feel like at the end of the day I shouldn't. So I'm gonna no, just in terms of like I wanted to.
No, makes sense to me, brother.
I wanted to like this a lot more
sure.
than it is.
Yep.
It's still decent, but not exactly what I was thinking it was going to be. So I'm going to give it a 3.25.
Yeah, so Brett, even though you didn't say it necessarily eloquently, I understand what you're trying to say. Once we cracked this can and we smelt it and, you know, reading the description of it, I had really high hopes for this one, but it didn't necessarily deliver on the flavor.
Didn't give you the punch that you were looking for.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be the same as you, Brett, 3.25.
Yeah. So again, chocolate caramel wafer imperial stout. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting 2/3 of that. We didn't really get any of the caramel ourselves.
No.
So it makes me wonder how they were trying to approach that. But I'm going to be just a smidge higher, I think. Again, I don't feel like it was fully where we wanted it to be. I think we're all in consensus with that. So I'm going to go with a 3.5. Producer Henrick is going to give it a 2.5. Some information from the producer was just some off-putting aftertaste as well. So that could be some of that just sitting around and not finishing itself through, right?
I think there's a bit of a lingering bitterness.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to kind of get to it with it, is just because it's not cleaning itself out because it is a 10%. It is sticking, and it's a dark beer, right? Like so that's how she goes sometimes. All right, so that's going to get us to our final ratings here. Chris, do you want to give us what our final rating is on this?
Yeah, for sure. So we're getting the math here from Henrik, and it's giving us an overall rating of 3.125, which we will round up to 3.25.
Yeah,
Yes.
because all in all, right, you guys both gave it 3.25.
It
I
just
gave it a
makes sense.
3.5. The producer,
We're not going to let Henrik bring
We're
us
not gonna
down.
do that.
Sewering us, really.
we're not going to do it. Not today, not tomorrow.
And that concludes the review of Four Fathers and the beers so graciously provided for the first episode of 2024.
Absolutely. So up next, we're going to talk about some of the fastest growing sports. All right, so we're back now because Four Fathers is actually opening up their very own pickleball courts.
We never discussed that, did we?
We did not.
What a miss.
I guess the producer didn't put it in the script.
And that is why we rounded up the last beer.
Yeah. As well as memberships, of course, to the pickleball court. So they're actually opening it right at the beginning of 2024. Now, apparently, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in Canada and in other places in the world, actually, too. So we thought that we would talk about our experiences with some of the fastest growing sports, including pickleball. Tyler, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just kind of question. Do we know, like, these pickleball courts come with memberships, but do we know where the pickleball is taking place? Is it at the brewery?
It's in the brewery.
So it's actually in the brewery. Now,
Yep.
is the membership tied to the Pickleball Plus brewery? Like, can you go ahead? We've talked about memberships with some breweries in the past. Do we know if it's tied together? We might not know that.
I'm going to say you probably get a certain percentage off beers.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
like,
that's only fair.
It's good to see some of these business ideas kind of coming together, right? Like, it's a good way of drawing people in who are pickleball fans, but maybe not craft beer. Yep. And then same thing with the craft beer, maybe not into pickleball, but yeah.
So
very cool.
they have a specific section on their website that kind of talks about it.
Nice.
And what happens. So, basically it's about okay, here we go, member perks. Oh, no.
Just for the listeners out there, Chris got a new phone a couple weeks ago. Apparently, it's the same one as before.
Same
but,
exact one.
Very upset with the way it works.
Yeah,
so
not functioning the way you thought it would.
So here you go. Discounts on food and non-alcoholic beverages in the tap room.
Free pop.
We didn't
Love
really
it.
talk about their food either. So when you go to Four Fathers, let us know. And apparently the food is really good.
The food is very good. I will
There you
say.
go.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Sorry, I apologize.
No,
for that.
that's okay. That's a good segue because, like you mentioned, we didn't talk about the pickleball experience previously. So number one, pickleball. Okay. So for each of these kind of up and coming or fastest growing sports, we're going to go through. Have you played it? If you haven't, would you play it again if you have? And then just kind of generally, what are your thoughts about it? So the first one is pickleball. I have not played pickleball personally. I don't know about you guys.
I have not. I think and this is maybe very biased, but I think the only reason pickleball is becoming a very popular sport is because all the baby boomers are retiring and they need something to do, because they can't play tennis,
Sure.
right? Or badminton. And pickleball is just kind of indoor tennis like badminton almost.
It's also played outdoors.
It
Can
is,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, pickleball. I've played. I've got my set. I've played a handful, especially during COVID too.
Right.
Great sport. And I feel like pickleball is very much like kind of CrossFit in a way that you can go ahead and scale it to however you want. So if you have a bunch of older people that want to play a little bit more of a melancholy kind of game, they certainly can. Still can be very competitive.
Okay.
But I like myself, highly competitive, a little more agile. I'm playing it a little bit differently than I think a lot of people would.
And this is just a quick question because I haven't really looked into this. Is it like to 21, 25? Like what's the actual... It's like tennis where it's like by sets. How does the actual scoring work?
It's very similar to that. So you can have quick games. But yeah, it's a bit of a mind game too, because there's a certain line that you have to get the ball past if you wanted to before you can't just run up to the net and smash it down somebody's throat. But you can
why play?
But you can get behind some of them, and I do, and I try to go for center mass often because again, if the ball hits you, then it's dead and you get the point. So carry on.
Really? Okay. Well, producer Henrick, he has a set too. Has not broken it out before, though, yet. Some pickleball courts have popped up close to his home, so he is planning to have a summer of pickleball in 2024.
You know what I just got thinking? I got
What's
that
that?
cement pad in that backyard. I'm going to measure that out because that could be the same size as a pickleball court. court.
Really? Because then a pickleball court's pretty small.
It is pretty small.
Have you been back? Have you been back there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going
Pretty
to look up the dimensions, but they're not big courts.
Okay.
Well, while he does that, you go with the second one.
So have you, or if you haven't played, like you and I, Brett and Henrik, would you?
I'll sit back off this one.
Well, I mean, you can say whether you'd like to play again. I mean, I think you probably would. But
If he's going to install a pickleball court in his backyard, I'm pretty sure he's playing
he
again.
probably would like to, yeah. And he has a set. So would you want to play it? I mean, me, like, sure, I'll try it. I'm not getting out there to necessarily go out of my way to play pickleball, but I would try it.
It's one of those things. If somebody give me a text or a phone call and say, "Hey, you want to go play pickleball?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." You got a set, and then kind of go from there. But again, it's one of those things. I'm not going to be like, "Hey," if my wife asks me, "What are you doing today?" I'm going to go play pickleball. It's more a spur of the moment thing, not like a planned thing for me. I'm thinking.
Yeah. And then obviously Henrik, if he's planning to go out this summer, he would like to play for sure. So the next one I put down here is disc golf.
Before we get there, just on the pickleball dimensions,
Yes.
I've got the width, the length. I need just about half more, so I need about 50% more.
Okay.
So we're close on. I could do a reduced version on that cement pad back there.
There we go.
Pretty dope, though.
Throw up a net. There you go.
Well, what I could do is I could do the Forrest Gump and just put a wall up on one side and then use that as pickleball.
Wouldn't that be
training.
squash?
Yeah, that's just squash. I was going to say.
Well, close. Well, no, because the markings and everything
Yeah.
are different in squash. Come
But
on,
you
guys.
could make a squash court.
Well, I'd have to then put in more than one wall. I'd have
Right,
to
you
have
need
all the walls.
4
guys.
walls,
Come
yeah.
on, figure it out.
And a door.
So basically, it's like pickleball is what I was saying, not remotely close to squash.
We're saying it sounds like a good place to put like a brew house instead of a pickleball court.
Yeah,
Anyway,
sure.
Chris,
Disc golf. So we're running kind of short on time, so maybe we'll go 2 and 1. So
we got time, yeah.
I have not played disc golf before, but I would. There's actually a and I don't know if it's disc golf or frisbee golf, but
Disc golf.
disc golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't. Come on now.
No frisbee golf.
better
Frisbee
than
that.
that.
No.
That's offensive
That's
to
a kids play.
the disc golf
When
players.
adults play, it's disc golf.
Yeah, the
Okay.
DGs. Yeah, they come on.
But I would play. There's a disc golf course near my home. Actually,
Are you inviting me? I feel like it's an invite.
I mean, do you need to buy your own discs or?
You don't need to, but
No.
there are specialized backpacks with the disc.
Backpacks?
Yeah, for putters and yeah, it's insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a sport that you don't want to play with like a promotional disc that you would have
Oh,
got from this, right?
heck no.
You want a specific disc for this. I've tried.
Fido's Flight.
Yeah. My wife and I played it once on there's a disc course, a disc golf course by my in-laws. So on a walk, we took a disc and went out and had no idea the rules of what we were doing. But it sounded fun, and mostly because there was a couple beers in our hands. Yeah, no, I would definitely do it again.
Nice.
Yeah, I've played a couple of different courses. The one that you're talking about, I've done that as well. And before this was actually ever a thing, my buddy Matt and I made up our own disc golf. Before it was ever a thing, we would
Really?
we'd go out to like there's a big soccer field, and we would say, okay, well, we've got to throw the disc like frisbee 3-4 times before it gets into like the quarter circle of a corner kick on the soccer
yeah.
field.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd start in different areas, and that's what we did. And we did that with that. We did it with tennis rackets and balls and trying to hit them. And yeah, we made up our own kind of golf variations. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Henrik has never played with the proper discs, but there is a course close to him that he thinks it would be fun to try.
I think 3 of the 4 of us going to go to Stratford and play some disc golf.
I'm going to St. Thomas, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the parking lot of it has been under construction for like 2 years, but you can still play.
Yeah, you make it work.
The next one is esports. So there's some, really serious video game players out there that are doing the video game sports. I mean, I've played video game sports on my PS3 and
Yes, you have.
PS2, but never to any sort of high level or anything. So I mean, this one is kind of like there's your regular play video game sports, but then there's like these guys who are amazing at it, which no offense to you guys, but probably none of us would ever get to that level.
Well, it's funny you say that.
I think it's mostly because all of us leave our basements.
Yeah.
Not often.
And your defense, yes. That is
I
correct.
will say that I have won my fair share of Rocket League tournaments.
Okay.
So
I do know that.
again, it's tiered into like different like skill level.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've dabbled in some Rocket League tournaments from time to time and came out with some dubs. Not a big deal.
I mean, for myself, I play a little bit of online MLB The Show when I can. I do play some PGA online. I'm actually quite good at that.
Oh,
Probably
really?
better at that than real golf.
He's got to say
And
that.
I'm pretty good at real golf.
He's got to say that because I've played him in the show and I've beat him every time.
Except for that one time. Except for that one time I perfect gamed you. Anyway,
we did one time.
Yeah, I did one time. I'm going to ride that for the rest of eternity.
I was Kansas City Royals.
Anyway, hey, they made some good signings. Besides the point, yeah, I mean, I think people can make a lot of good money off that.
I know.
By all means.
It's pretty crazy.
I think if I was going to participate in like a esports tournament, for example, it'd be more like just your old classic Mario Kart on N64 on like a 500-inch projection screen and see what you could do. But for me, yeah, I play it, but it's not like it's a competitive thing for me. It's just something to diddle my hands for a little bit. Maybe not the correct wording there, but
so eloquent again.
Yeah. Oh man, you're on it this episode.
Yes.
So Henrick is saying kind of the same as you guys. Plays MLB The Show, Chell for all the kids out there, and Madden very infrequently.
And while Sager's still laughing over there, the only quirk I have with NHL is that I think it's been like the same game for like 10 years.
It
hasn't
doesn't
really,
change much.
Hasn't really shut up, or at least the other games like Madden, MLB The Show, NBA 2K, these at least kind of gotten better.
Yeah.
Hit us with the last one, Chris.
So the last one, which is not really a new sport, in fact, it's not a new sport at all, but it's growing quite quickly in Canada, apparently, is cricket. I was kind of looking up what are the fastest growing sports? And everyone was saying cricket is the number one or number two growing sport in Canada. So I have never played cricket. Actually, there's a cricket field right near where I grew up, and it's always been there as long as I can remember, but never gone there, never played it.
Did you? So you never saw anybody playing on it?
No, I saw people playing, but I would
never
never kind of even thought about it. I've watched cricket on TV, and they're like, it's kind of like European soccer. The fans are nuts about it. And I would
7 days the game's played.
well, in the leagues they have like a condensed version, but
do.
yes, when you get to like the national games, they can go on forever. But I would try it. Sure. I've not really played baseball, so I don't know whether I could get a bat to the ball. I'd probably get wicketed every time, but I would try it.
For myself, it kind of actually ties in the last one in terms of my cricket knowledge. I bought Cricket 06 on my PlayStation 2 for like $5 at EB Games.
Something to diddle with your fingers.
Pretty much. And going into it, I'm like, okay, like I had no idea about cricket, but I knew it was a sport, obviously. And I was like, I'm playing. I'm like, I know nothing. And here we are, probably 15 years later. I still know not a dang thing about cricket.
Really? Okay.
It looks fun, but again, at the same time, I enjoy playing a baseball game for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that being done. Not playing a baseball game for 7 days.
You just don't have the attention span.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't know how the scoring works. All I know is I saw a video on TikTok, and the one guy batted into the announcer's guy's car, and it was a whole thing. That's pretty much all I know for the last little bit of cricket. But I'd try it for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've actually tried cricket 1.5 times.
Okay.
Yeah, the half was actually in Windsor when we were in university, Chris.
Yeah.
And individuals were playing it indoors, just like they were just bowling it and hitting it.
Okay.
And so I took a couple whacks at that, and I was like, all right, this shouldn't be too difficult. The issue is because you're playing in 360. So it's just it's trying to
no
figure
foul territory.
Trying to figure the angles and then trying to get like fives, right? Like you can't really judge that inside of a gym. So that's difficult. The other time that I actually played it was outdoors, and it was at Lower Queens Park in Stratford. There was individuals that were playing there, and so I kind of was like, hey, do you mind? I jumped in on that.
Yeah.
It was only for like, I don't know, a half an hour or so, but it was still to kind of get the rhythm of the game and figure that out. I'm also, I don't know, interesting, I suppose, the fact that like I'll watch different things on TV, like different sports.
Yeah.
Cricket, Australian, like football league, stuff like that. Like just different kinds of darts. I'll watch the PDC, Professional Dart Championship or corporation, not a big deal. But yeah, that's those things. Like just, it's nice to kind of expand your knowledge beyond it because you never know. Cricket comes to Canada and good to know the information.
There you go. The thing with cricket, like versus baseball, for example, like in baseball, the spin on the ball happens in the air, whereas cricket, it's like once it hits the ground, that's when the spin happens.
It's kind of like bouncing an Indian rubber ball in lacrosse. Is you can bounce it once. It's the second bounce sometimes because it's sped up a lot.
Yeah.
That it'll take like a lower line drive kind of effect. It's really kind of cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so Henrick never played, but he plays a little baseball, dabbles a little bit. So he would try it. But yeah.
Cool.
That's it.
Yeah. Fastest growing sports.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Those are the 4 I could come up with. I'm sure there's more, but that's it. So why don't we say our goodbyes? All right, that's all for today's episode. Thank you again for listening. Keep on listening. Every other Thursday is the Craft Beer Connoisseurs release a new episode, and on our off Thursdays for a producer special.
And make sure to tell your friends, family, and your favorite cricket player.
I knew you were going to say that. It was a given. So from all of us and producer Henrick, I'm Tyler.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Brett. And together, we are the Craft Beer Connoisseurs.